Hi everyone, I hope you're all well out there. If you haven't been here before, welcome to Rocket Rose Art. My name is Jeff, and before I go any further, I apologise for the hum in the background. It is freezing here at the moment, and if I don't have a heater on me, I think I'm just going to freeze up. So what we're about today is what I use to cut glass. I've had a number of questions about this, and I thought it's about time I did a little video just to cover the various things that I use to cut glass. Now, something I must say is that this is not a sponsored video. I'm not giving you any reviews of any of this equipment. I'm purely showing you what I use, and I'll give you any pros and cons, but that's about it. And the equipment that I'm using, generally it's the equipment I purchased when I first started working with glass. So I don't have the benefit of knowing other brands or other equipment, so I can't give you comparisons in that nature. So I just want to say thank you very much for your support so far. And if you get to the end of this video and you like it, please hit that thumbs up button and share it around. That would be appreciated. Don't forget you can subscribe, and there is also a thanks button down there where you can make a little donation if you want. And on this note, I want to give a very sincere thanks to Lisa and Jacqueline. Your donations are very much appreciated. Now, don't forget your safety when you're cutting glass. Wear those safety glasses whenever you're cutting glass or working with glass in any way at all. If you've got any questions, put them in the comments section below, and I will do my best to answer them. So the first thing I'm going to cover is basically my glass cutter. This is a little Toyo. I never filled it up with oil. I basically use the oil well over on the Beetle Bits cutting system. It's the only one I've ever had it for years, still working well, so don't see any reason to change unless there's something special out there. So that's my glass cutter. I think these tools go along with cutting as far as I'm concerned, because obviously you cut and you snap with your snapping pliers. So again, first one I ever bought, still got it. Along with that goes these little snippers. They're similar to cutting. This is just for trimming up and tidying up bits of glass, like little edges and that. And especially when I want to cut up some glass and make some frit. I use that to snip up the glass to make frit. And also with that, these little grazing pliers. I've got two sizes, as you can see here. And they are for just grabbing the end of glass and just gently snapping it off with you use the curved bit on the bottom and just gently, a little bit of pressure and it snaps it off. So they're the basic cutters that I use, and we'll move on to the Beetle Bits system. Now, I've been asked about this quite a bit. This is my cutting system. It's called the Beetle Bits cutting system. This is where I cut most of my glass. It's fine, and I'm quite happy with it. There are a couple of little things about it that are a little annoying. One of them is if you look at the bar here, it stretches up to the top here. It could have been just a little bit longer so that I could have pushed it up, because some of the sheets I buy won't fit in here, and they're only out by 10 mil or something like that, and they just won't quite fit between there and here. So it just makes it a little bit more awkward. I've got to take the sheet away somewhere else, do the initial cut. Handy sheets are fine, but yeah, just some of the sheets are just a little bit longer. So if that had extended a bit higher, I think that would have made my life a little bit easier at least. Another thing about it, this is the strip cutter that goes with it. I've started using it a little bit, but honestly I don't use it much anymore. I just find it a little bit inaccurate, and that's because it moves around too much. So when you're trying to cut, it moves around. So you don't get, in my opinion, you don't get a nice clean cut through there. You have to purposely be pushing it to the side and making sure it stays down to get that cut, rather than just be able to go sort of cut through like that. So I think that could have been just engineered a little bit better and made a bit firmer on there. And another little complaint I have is the ruler. I think it could have been longer. Stopping at 15 centimetres is a bit short. I think it could have been longer. I don't know, maybe they have a longer one, but I've never been able to find one. So I think it could have been longer. And the markings on it just wear off. I've swapped this around once already from one side to the other, because it is marked top end bottom, but the markings particularly wear off at the 0 point, where typically you're hitting it with a cutter. So maybe they could have been impressed into the aluminium or something along that lines, but yeah, the markings do wear off eventually. Other than that, I like the cutting system. It's just makes the whole job of cutting easier, because you've got a dedicated area to do it. The waffle grids on the back here catch all the fine pieces of glass. If you're on a flat surface, those fine pieces of glass can be a bit of a problem. On here, they're not a problem. One of the other things is that when you're cutting thin glass on here, you've got to be careful not to put too much pressure, because of it, I don't know, it just seems to crack more on here. And I'm talking about 2mm glass. And if you've got only small pieces like strips of thin glass, you really got to be careful on how much pressure you put on it, because it just does snap the glass unevenly. 3mm glass is fine. By the way, this is another cutter that I use, or started using when I first purchased it, but don't use so much anymore now that I've got the ring saw. Obviously it's a circle cutter, so there's a cutting wheel there, or scoring wheel there, and it has two uses. One is as the circle cutter. I'll just get this in here, so you can cut circles like that. The other one is so you can cut off glass in strips. So basically the idea is that this runs up against a guide, so you can run down like that and cut glass in an even strip. You would have some sort of a guide over here, such as a piece of wood or something like that, glass up against that, this up against that, and you would run down and make your score. It has two different scales on it, and the reason it's got two is obviously with this one it has to measure from that point to the cutter. So it's got one scale for that, or one ruler for that. This one has a different ruler because it's got to measure from the center of that pivot point to the cutter, not from there to the cutter. The measurements do work off of that, but it's actually got to work from there to the cutter. So it's something, unfortunately, I don't use a lot of anymore now that I've got the ring saw, because most of the circles that I cut can be cut on that. Obviously, if I had to make something a lot bigger, then I'd have to come back and use this. So drilling is also part of cutting as far as I'm concerned, and to drill holes through glass I use these diamond encrusted bits. Now you can see there it's got diamonds encrusted all the way around it, and that one's hollow. It's hollow because if it was solid you'd have to grind a lot more glass away, and this takes the pressure off it, and you don't have to grind quite as much glass. You just end up with a core left in the middle there, which can easily be pushed out from that side if it got stuck in there. Now the ones I've got here have quite a large shank, and I found that this little drill that I use can take those, and I looked at quite a few drills and they couldn't take that size shank, believe it or not. Don't know why, but... And this is the drill I use. I particularly like this drill. A number of reasons. It's nice, it's light, it's easy to manoeuvre. It's very easy, quick action to put the bits in and out. And it also is pressure sensitive. So in other words, as you press on the trigger, it changes the speed. So it's a variable speed as well. And you can also change the tension as well, or strength, whatever way you want to look at it. Comes with a couple of batteries, and I found that really handy because I knew I always had a battery charged ready to go. So very simple but very efficient little way of drilling holes. So this here is my trim saw. Now trim saw is typically used in lapidary because you're cutting off little pieces of semi-precious gemstones. But in this case here, I use it for doing small cuts on glass. Now it is only a 4-inch diamond blade, so it doesn't have a very deep depth of cut. So you can only really cut something like 6 mil at a push, but you can't do much more than that. And obviously you're not going to do large pieces as well. But it's great for just, if you've got a lot of small cuts to do, this is great for that. It's water fed, well not water fed, but it has a water bath. Down in here you put some water down in there, keeps the blade cool. If you don't keep the blade cool, you'll wear it out very quickly. The cheaper blades like this one here are only plated blades, so they have a limited life. Sintered blades would work better if you can get them. But that's a great little tool for cutting just small pieces of glass. Obviously only straight cuts, that's all you can do. So this one here is my repurposed tile saw. This is the one I dearly love to get rid of and replace with a decent tile saw. Because if you want to cut pattern bars, that sort of thing, anything that's reasonably thick, and you want to cut it in consistent slices, this will do it, but it's not ideal, believe me. It was just a cheap tile saw I bought from the local hardware, and I have stuck a vinyl tile on the top because I didn't like the metal top to it. It does have rulers here and a little guide here, which is okay, very hard to sort of adjust and slide backwards and forwards. A bit of a pain in the neck, and not that accurate because the blade here doesn't run true to this, no matter, I mean, true to this if you use the ruler. So you've got to make a little adjustments because the rulers aren't exactly synced up. It runs a 7-inch diamond blade. This is the thick one. This is the original one with it. Unfortunately, because my other one went blunt, and this one chips it a fair bit. It chips the cuts quite a bit. Gets through the glass well, but does chip it quite a bit. Change it for a thinner one if you can. Now, I had to, because I couldn't get the thin ones with the same arbor size, and that's the shaft, and here is this, I have to shim them out to fit. And that became a bit of an issue as well, was getting the right shim. So this is not an ideal situation at all. And really, I would much rather replace it with something that has a moving bed and much more accurate as far as being able to get 6 mil slices off. It runs on water, obviously. The original water bed underneath here was, to say the least, it was useless. Or say the most it was useless, because as soon as it started up, it just spat the water out everywhere. So I took a plastic container from the cheapie shop, cut the side of it out here and turned that into the water bath. Still spits water out, but a lot less than what it did before. So I use this at the moment for cutting things like pattern bars and that. But yeah, gee, I'd really like to get rid of this one. So this is the ring saw that I use. It's a Taurus ring saw. I'm pretty sure there are other brands out there, but I don't know about them, never tried them. As I said, most of what I use here are one-off things. It's not like I've used multiple over the years and finally ended up with these ones. So I haven't tried the others, but I'll just give you a quick overview of what this one does. I think Anne just dropped something upstairs. Anyway, with this, it's great if you want to cut odd shapes of things, like, for example, a little dog out of a piece of glass or something like that, because this blade is omnidirectional, which means that you can push the glass in any direction, it will cut. So great for that sort of thing. A couple of different blades it comes with. It comes with a thinner blade as well. This is the slicer blade, so that's for actually cutting slices, which I think you've seen me do. It does have a tool for that, but I don't use it very often. The tool fits in there, and you can put slabs on there. You use rubber bands, hold it together, and you can slide in and out and cut your slices. It's limited obviously to the size. You've seen me, I tried to cut the slab, which is pretty much up to the top at its maximum, and it does strain the machine a lot, so a bit smaller would be a lot easier. Also has a guide obviously that you can use for normal cutting. Does things like angles. That's our little attachment for doing circles. We use the little stick-ons onto there, stick the glass onto it, put that into one of these holes here, and we can do our circles. So it does have a number of attachments. I think there are more. I don't have them all, so I can't really tell you anything about those. One good thing I like about it is you can do a lot of the maintenance on this, like changing the blades and changing these belts that are in here. I'll just see if I can get this off and just quickly show you where the belts are. So there's belts in here. So you can replace all of these things. So that's one good thing about it. When they wear out, they're easy to replace. And you get the grommets as well, which is what the belts run on. So that's really good about it, in that you can service a lot of it yourself. You don't have to worry about getting somebody else to do it. Whoops, I'll just move these off. Obviously it does run in water. Get all these bits off. And the water bath is underneath here. So this just slides out and the water bath is underneath. You can see it runs in the water under here. So the blade runs around and in the water under here, and keeps it all nice and cool. Keep it lasting for you for a long period of time. I've got spare blades. I haven't replaced this one yet, and I've had that in there for quite a while. Don't use it all the time, of course, but they seem to have a really good life. The omnidirectional one, which is that one, again, I think I've had that in there for a few years now, and haven't replaced it for quite a few years. So they do seem to last for quite a while. Good little machine. I don't know about other models that might exist, or should say other brands that may exist, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm quite happy with this one. Before I finish with this, I've given you all the pros of this and why I like it, but maybe I should give you the cons as well. And really, there aren't many. The one that probably annoys me more than anything is that the depth here, I think, could have been a little bit more. If I've got it right, you're not supposed to run this, take that off, you're not supposed to run this without this guide on here. Now, I've seen people do that, and I've done it, and it seems to work all right, but I do worry about the blade jumping out. So a bit more depth up here would have been good. I understand that would have made the ring larger, but a bit more depth would have been good, and the depth there could have been a little bit more as well. So a larger ring, a bit more depth here and a bit more depth that way would have been really great. Other than that, I can't think of anything else that that I've got to say about this as far as cons are concerned. So that's everything that I use to cut glass. I don't think there's anything that I've missed. If there is, I'll tell you about it in another video. So please, if you can, help support the channel with what I mentioned before as far as likes and sharing and so forth, and the thanks button. And if you want to watch a couple more videos right now, you'll find them suggested up there. Our subscribe button is right there. Don't forget the notifications. And until the next one, I'll say bye for now.